Good morning, coolest coast. Better late than never. It is time for Coffee with Kristin and Tina. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee with Kristin and Tina. Take two. We had some unprecedented technical difficulties, but we're here. We're back. Thanks to Just Orthodontics for sponsoring us. This is Kristin O'Dell with KLO. I'm Tina Prigge with Vagabond Creative Studio. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. You know, this is like fashionably late. Can we say that?
Fashionably late. Yes. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks to people that posted and said, you're live when it was a technical glitch. Really appreciate that. Just
Yeah.
disregard that. Speaking of fashionable, Kristin, totally unplanned. Look at us.
I know we are coordinated again.
I love it.
You and I always have had a knack. I shouldn't say always, that's a generalization, but frequently show up wearing the same color vibe.
Yeah. I feel like we're on the same wavelength without even knowing it.
What made you pick black and white stripes today?
So there are some exchange students, thanks Connor, better late than never, that are visiting from Japan. And the kids are going to the Wisconsin Maritime Museum today. And so I'm going to be meeting them there later. And it just felt a little nautical, I guess.
Nautical?
Nautical. That sounds like something the Billy Badger would carry.
Correctly, this top was once worn as the top of a pirate costume.
So it is nautical.
Am I right?
Right.
I love that. Hey, can I tell you something? I was on top the Maritime Museum this morning for sunrise yoga.
How was that? Was it amazing?
It was really good. So I'm going to give you the pros and cons of morning yoga.
Okay.
Pros. It's beautiful. You can feel the breeze sweeping across your face, right? There's all these natural sounds around you. Okay. The temperature wasn't bad. It was comfortable.
Nice.
The cons are if you are a person who looks for mind clearing during yoga, it is a little distracting to be outside. So you hear all
with traffic and things like that.
Traffic, seagulls, people walking, that kind of stuff. So I think for that reason, I go to get my mind I like the indoor a little bit better because it's quiet, or there's rhythmic music that allows me to be more internal.
Right. Gotcha.
Outdoor, it's just a different experience, but it was wonderful. And what was really cool is the moon was setting this morning, which was a full moon, by the way. Moon was setting in one way and the sun was rising on the other way. So how could that ever be bad?
Yeah, that sounds magical. Did you see the moon last night? It was smoky and red and there were some clouds. It almost looked like a Halloween moon.
I love it. I did not see the moon last night, but that sounds amazing. Okay, tell us how much you're involved with our friends from Japan that are here visiting.
So it's incredible. We are a homestay family this time too. And we're just in love with this other child already. I would keep him if his mom would let us, he just fits right in. We're having an incredible time. I took a whole carload of them shopping to Green Bay last night, and I'm just in my happy place, hanging out with these kids, seeing them experience, the world through a different lens. And what's kind of cool is they started off by visiting the Manitowoc Police and Fire Department. And so speaking of same wavelengths, our kids just had really similar experiences. So let me start with, I saw this picture this morning. You shared this with me. I'm like, oh my God, what happened? And then I realized this is a totally happy event. Tell us what's going on.
So we happened to be downtown last night and noticed. So Tina, what's the name of the event? I'm sorry. I don't have it in my brain.
Oh, the National Night Out?
National Night Out. National Night Out was last night. We were out, not for the National Night Out, but just for fun. And we're like, oh my gosh, let's go over. So the girls got to climb around and check out the fire truck and an ambulance and police cars. It was a blast. It was so cool.
Yeah. Look at her driving this truck. Does it seem like this is something they would ever be interested in, or it's more just fascinating to be, could she ever imagine herself driving a huge rig like that?
So Josie definitely has talked about fire, police, or military as a career option down the line. So I think she loved every minute of getting to climb around and see the equipment and check things out. And, they were so cool with them. They know on the keyboard in the police car, and they let us look up our address in the fire on their, on their iPad or whatever. And just, it was really cool. They were so good about it. And I heard other parents talking about all the events they had going on inside the library last night. You could get an ID for your kids, ways to win school supplies, and just cool event.
Yeah, the library has excellent programming. So what's kind of fun is the exchange students got to have a similar experience. And so look at this great acting job. This is our exchange student in the back of the car. He's pretending like, oh no.
I love it. Did he send this to parents back home and say that he had a problem?
I'm not sure how he played it. I don't know if he played it the same way we would have or not, but because I absolutely would have done the same thing that you just suggested.
Absolutely. Did they share with you at all? Like, does this emergency equipment look different than what they see back home?
It does. So, even the way the roads and things are set up are different. We've got large, wide roads, a lot of straightaways, whereas roads in Japan, especially because it's so old, right? There's a lot more twists, turns. You're talking about mountains and things like that. So their trucks and everything are a lot more compact and a lot smaller.
Okay, cool. What a cool opportunity for them just to kind of have that perspective and get to see that equipment up close.
Yeah, and then the firefighters really took good care of them. Put like the whole gear on them. Now this is Teak, right? And so Teak's a
Yeah,
big guy, and so this fits him pretty well. Like that almost looks natural. I
right.
don't have the picture with me, but one of the girls is really tiny, and so like the pants almost look like clown pants, right? Like they can come up
I'm
to her
sure.
shoulders, and they're like this.
That's so cool. Yeah, and I think you had a picture of Teak like rolling the fire hose. So I don't know if anybody's ever touched a fire hose, but they're very, very heavy. You've got to have some muscle to be able to do this.
Yeah, and I was impressed to see this. I had no idea. I guess I never thought about how does it get unrolled, right, at the scene of something. Yeah, so you can tell this is taking a lot of muscle action.
Right. What a neat experience. What else is on the agenda? So I saw they also
Oh,
that's
yeah, I just
cool.
wanted to show this picture too. They got to operate the hose, not at full power even because they wouldn't have controlled it. They actually needed a firefighter there kind of supporting them because there is so much pressure that comes out. And it's apparently pretty heavy too.
Mhm. Yeah, I've heard that before. It's such a cool thing. What a cool experience.
Yeah.
So I saw some other pictures. I know you guys got to go to Neshoto Beach with the students.
Yeah.
I kind of giggled. So you took Japanese students to the American version of a Mexican restaurant, right?
Right, right. Just
Did
trying
they
to
love
introduce
every
them.
minute?
They are really open-minded and really brave about trying a lot of things, but it's also out of their comfort zone. And so I'm just impressed at their good attitudes.
Right. What a
I
cool
don't
thing.
think I don't think they're like, yes, let's go back and eat that again.
What else is on the agenda for these amazing students that are here from our sister city?
So today they are going to start with a submarine tour and explore the Maritime Museum. They're going to have lunch at Beernson's. I can't wait to see their expression when they see like all the chocolates and things in the candy shop. They're going to walk out to the lighthouse. They're going to get Cedar Crest ice cream. They're touring Farm Wisconsin tomorrow. They're going to be going out to Pine River Dairy. And then the weekend is free time with their families. So each family has the opportunity to do something.
Ever.
One of the families tonight is hosting like a movie night. They're putting a big blow up screen in their yard, and all the kids are going to have a bonfire and watch a movie together.
That sounds so amazing. Well, what a cool experience. You guys are hitting on all the best spots, I feel like, in Manitowoc County.
Ah, thanks. And what's cool is so Kamagawa is right on the ocean, right? So when you look at it, it's a lot like the view you get of Lake Michigan, but
Sure.
but it's the first time for most of them that they've had that freshwater experience.
Right, which is different. It's a different buoyancy. I don't know. It's probably cold.
They said it was a little colder.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's funny because, the Wisconsinites that were there, we were all in the water and they're like, "Aren't you guys cold?" We're like, "No."
We're bred for this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
Um,
cool.
Connor commented, he said, "Fire hoses are pretty heavy. Utilize them for filling tender on steam locomotive." Oh, right. So you've got experience with it.
Mhm. Hey, really quick, just because I see Connor's on and it made me think of something. So I did see this morning that the car ferry has announced that they're going to end their season for the summer, which is so sad.
Yeah.
It's obviously due to some dock repairs. For those of you who haven't heard, there's dock repairs going on in Ludington that's going to not allow them to operate anymore. So, such a bummer for just their tourism, for the cities, and all the seasonal employees that help out at both of those docks.
That's the first thing I thought of this morning was the employees, right? Like the people that planned on that as
Right.
their job, as their income, and then right, any tourist that was planning to take the ferry, it's a bummer. And I think too, what I heard is that the dock, whatever has gone wrong with the apron, right? It used to be ubiquitous. This used to be like the technology in use everywhere. And now the Badger is really like one of the last men standing using this technology. So there's not like a quick way or ready way to repair it.
Right. Right. And that's, in some ways, that's the beauty of us having this really old, neat, historic car ferry, right? But unfortunately, that's the trade off is some of these things that should be quick repairs are not. So,
Yeah, and it's interesting, we kind of forget that as technology advances and we embrace new ways to do things, that sometimes we forget the old or like those skills needed.
right.
If people aren't practicing and honing them,
Yeah.
wow.
Yep, absolutely. So I'll just mention, in case you guys don't know, there is another ferry that runs between Milwaukee and Muskegon, Michigan. It's called the Lake Express. It's only for vehicles, it's not commercial. But if you were still trying to squeeze in a trip, that might be an option so that you can still either come visit Manitowoc or leave from here and get over to the other side and enjoy it.
You should definitely come visit Manitowoc if you haven't. It is beautiful. We're having an incredible summer, and there's a lot of really cool things to do.
Yeah, this is like the best time of the year, the most wonderful time of the year.
Wait, that doesn't start a Christmas song, does it?
I know.
Yeah, Connor mentioned that the counterweight was from the 1930s. So we're talking like almost 90-year-old technology.
Right. And heavy industrial, right? Railroad cars used to go on the car ferry. So you need to think about what those docks were built to handle back in the day. It's a different animal.
Hmm. Oh, now here's the interesting thing. If you're planning on taking the Lake Express ferry that Kristin mentioned, if there are waves that are 2 feet or more, then it can't go. So there's like no guarantee that you can sail across the lake.
Hey, listen, you can always drive up and around. It's a beautiful drive. When you get to the UP, it looks like the Caribbean. Like Michigan looks like the Caribbean.
Well, and the UP there's so many beautiful things to explore, like all of the different what am I thinking? Waterfalls, right? There are all these little waterfalls and like, ooh, there's a lake and it's like super crystal clear and you can see really far down. And there's like a hand crank boat that like goes across back and forth. Oh no, what's it called?
Somebody help us.
I can't remember. It's cool.
There's a lot of great ice cream spots up there too.
Ice cream.
All right.
Okay, so let me show you this. We're talking about the exchange students, right? This is a little bit of the visit from in Kamogawa, Japan.
Yes. Yeah, what did Teak have to say when he got home? I'm so curious about because he's been to Japan before. This isn't the first time. So,
Right, but this is the first time that he got to go kind of under his own auspices, right? Like he's his own man there, right? Fending for himself, advocating for himself. He had an incredible time. He did a news interview yesterday and he said, my only disappointment is that it was only 10 days. He's like, I wish I could have stayed longer. I want to go back. And I was like, oh.
I mean, good for him, right? It's a long way to go for only 10 days, right? Like, I mean, you're literally probably flying, 22 hours to get over there?
The flight is about 12 hours.
Oh, really?
12, 13, it could take 14 depending on like the airstreams and stuff.
That doesn't
But
bad.
yeah, but it is a long time to travel.
That is still a really long. Yes, and you're covering multiple time zones also, so there's just a big switch.
Susan, yes, Kitsch Itty Ippy, that is it. Bingo, thank you. Kitsch Itty Ippy is such a cool place to stop and visit if you're going through the UP.
I have never heard of this before. Now I'm gonna have to look it up.
It's a good thing you're watching Coffee with Kristin and Tina.
Susan, you get the high five today for being the support commenter.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what's funny too is I just want to put this picture back up. So, let's see, where did I just lose it now? Boy, this is crazy. Nope, this one. So, this is a famous shrine in Tokyo, right? It's called Asakusa. And if anyone plays Mario Kart, there is a Mario Kart level and it has this and it's like set in Tokyo. And it's so funny because I told Teek and I told our exchange student, I said, when you guys were in Tokyo, Dad and I were playing this Mario Kart level. We're like, don't hit Teek, don't hit Koa. But it's so funny because it literally has the same imagery in it.
That is so cool. So Tina, you speak Japanese. Having
Hi.
these students here, does it make the portion of your heart that is Japanese so happy? Like, have you been practicing and speaking Japanese?
It does. It does. And it's really made things smooth. Like I know that while they're here, they really want to practice English. So I try to do English as much as possible, but sometimes you can just tell that something isn't connecting or there's something important, some kind of critical information that needs to be relayed.
Right.
Or like when they were being interviewed by the news yesterday, some of those big questions, right? Like I was like, hold on just a second. And I could offline like, kind of explain it and or simplify the question. And yeah, it makes my heart happy.
They're so lucky to have you. Again, I'm just always in awe of just how cultural you are and the languages that you love to take in. I just think it's amazing. So what a gift you are to those students to be able to have you there as a resource.
Thanks. Well, it is impressive too, their level of English ability. When I think about like our students, most of them didn't have any Japanese language ability going over there,
Right.
right? But it's also impressive because now that they've come back, Teek was explaining different things around the house, different, and he keeps peppering it with Japanese words that I didn't know he knew. So he either had this collection of Japanese words and wasn't letting on, or really had a big impact while he was there.
Very cool. Okay, if somebody is watching and they are like, I would like to take in Japanese, I want to learn some Japanese. Do you have a preferred software or dictionary or something that you would recommend for somebody to get started?
So, a great way to start is to watch content that's in Japanese, in the native language, so you hear it, but has English subtitles.
Okay.
And especially something that maybe you can relate to. So, maybe it's anime, maybe it's Japanese movies, or anything where you can see that connection, where you can hear it and
Mhm.
see what it means, is a great way to start.
Okay.
Also, with any kind of children's, like the way we teach our children English, right? You have very simple books, see Jane,
Right.
see Jane run, right? Like if you can do that in Japanese, it stacks it and builds it, and you kind of learn the language just like a kid would.
Okay.
I'm probably like Japanese fifth grade level. You know what I mean? So
I bet you're better than that.
am I smarter than a fifth grader?
You're probably at least a seventh grader.
Look at me go.
Love it. What
The expectation is that people here don't speak Japanese
mhm.
because it is a difficult language. So, and I don't know that they knew that I spoke Japanese, like some of the kids coming over. And so when they're first in the car and there was something being explained, and so I just turned and said it in Japanese, they were like, it was like definitely a triple take, like, what? This is amazing. So
That
I was like,
is so cool.
at first I didn't know if the triple take was because I mangled it and didn't say it correctly, but no,
No.
it was because I was speaking Japanese.
Don't you just think it like not is just surprising, but just how much peace they might be able to feel and like you when you can't express something and you want to be able to tell somebody and then all of a sudden you have this person that can just and I mean I feel like this happens in English all the time like let me just say that a different way and see if it makes more sense to you, right?
Yeah.
So for them to hear somebody speaking their own language, like I can imagine they were maybe had a sense of relief, but also excitement and probably surprise.
She gets me. She really gets me.
What was that from? Jerry Maguire?
Is that what it's from?
I don't know.
I
Where'd
have
you
all these cultural references, but I can't pinpoint where I picked them up.
I have to think about that.
That I think that's one of the most beautiful things too about this exchange is there are so many cultural differences, right? Obviously, different countries, different ways of life, but essentially, there are so many similarities. It's really cool and it's really heartwarming.
Right. So I had a different experience this week. This past weekend, I attended a full Hispanic mass, a Catholic mass. And the same thing. We didn't know if we were going to be able to understand it. But we were there to support a family. And it is amazing how many words still pop out at you, even when you like, I know some Spanish. I took Spanish in middle school and high school a little bit, right? But just there's certain words that just pop out to you. And just immediately I was like, okay, I know where we are. Right. I grew up as a Catholic, so I had some reference points, but it was just it was a neat experience, and it was validating again to be able to hear some of those things that kind of pop out and yet still hear it. And like, it was almost relaxing to take in another language for like a full hour, basically.
Yeah. And how interesting to be able to, in a way, like it might be a more zen experience because you really have to kind of concentrate, but yet because you can't fully understand, you almost can let go.
Right.
What a magical space to be in.
Right. Well, and I still like, so I knew that July was Julio. And so I knew what the date was, right? So I could like find it in the book. So even though I didn't understand all the words, I was able to follow along in the book. And I don't know. It was really,
Is the ceremony similar? Is there different kind of
no,
pomp and circumstance that goes with it?
it was essentially the same.
Cool.
Obviously different music, right? Because the music was all in Spanish also. Um,
Like
but
different melody, different tune, or just different
yes,
words?
yes,
Oh,
yes. And it was in Spanish, so we didn't necessarily know what they were singing. But again, it was still just to be able to sit back and listen to it and appreciate it was really neat.
where did you do that?
Um, the church on Grand Avenue, it would be St.
Okay.
Francis of Assisi Grand Avenue site. They have a number of Hispanic masses during the week. This happened to be Sunday at 12:30, I think it is.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
Yeah,
that's interesting. That's a
right.
great tip. I had no idea there was an all Spanish mass.
Yeah. So,
So that's another great example too of how to immerse yourself in a language. So you're already familiar with what the ceremony typically is and what those words typically are. And so now
right,
if you put yourself in that situation and you hear it in Spanish, right,
right,
your brain is going to start to understand the Spanish version of it.
right. Exactly.
Very cool. Kristen, this has been so much fun.
For being late today, the conversation always comes easy. It's always so good to see you.
It is always so good to see you. It is always so good to viewers. Thank you for hanging with us. Thank you for joining with us and having fun with us.
Yes. You guys have a great, amazing week. It sounds like our date might change for next week, so just stay tuned.
Yep. Stay tuned. We will try not to be late, but we may be on a different date.
A different time. We never know. We are
It's all part of the fun and mystery of hanging
we
with
are
us.
mompreneurs.
Entrepreneurs.
Thank you. Aw,
We're what now?
I know. I don't. It depends. Too many hats to keep it all straight.
Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Kristen, thanks for the fun conversation. You've been watching Coffee with Kristen and Tina here on the Coolest Coast. We'll see you next time.